Remember when MCU villains were just villains, power-hungry figures meant to be defeated so the heroes could restore order? In its early years, the Marvel Cinematic Universe relied on clear moral boundaries, where characters like Red Skull or even Thanos represented obvious evil with motivations that, while sometimes understandable, were never meant to be embraced. Good and evil were distinct, and the audience was never asked to question where their loyalty should lie. But as the MCU expanded and matured, its storytelling began to reflect a more complex and realistic moral landscape, one where villains were no longer simply obstacles, but deeply human characters shaped by trauma, ideology, and loss. This shift became evident as Marvel introduced antagonists whose motivations resonated uncomfortably well with audiences. Characters like Killmonger forced viewers to confront difficult truths about systemic injustice and historical pain. Though his actions were undeniably violent, his anger came from a place of genuine suffering, leading many fans to sympathize with him despite his role as the villain. This marked a crucial turning point for the MCU, where antagonists were no longer defined solely by evil intent, but by morally complicated goals that blurred the line between right and wrong. No character embodies this evolution more clearly than Loki. Introduced as a jealous and power-obsessed antagonist, Loki's early actions were driven by insecurity and a desire for validation. However, instead of discarding him after his defeat, Marvel chose to explore his inner conflicts over time. Across multiple films, and especially in the Loki series, we watch him confront the consequences of his actions, acknowledge his flaws, and gradually evolve. His journey is not about becoming traditionally heroic, but about growth and self-awareness, culminating in a selfless sacrifice that reframes his entire arc. Loki doesn't become a hero in the classic sense. He becomes something more nuanced, a character defined by redemption through understanding rather than righteousness. Wanda Maximoff's arc, on the other hand, represents a descent rather than a rise. Beginning as a villain, she earned her place among the Avengers, only to be shattered by relentless loss. WandaVision revealed how grief could distort even the noblest intentions, showing Wanda committing morally disturbing acts while desperately trying to preserve a fabricated sense of happiness. Her transformation in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness further complicates her identity, presenting her as both antagonist and victim. Wanda is not driven by malice, but by unresolved trauma, making her story less about villainy and more about tragedy. Ultimately, the MCU is not turning villains into heroes. It is redefining what those terms mean. Instead of offering simple redemption arcs or clear moral judgments, Marvel now explores the emotional and psychological paths that lead characters to make destructive choices. Heroes are flawed, villains are sympathetic, and morality exists in shades of gray rather than black and white. This narrative evolution reflects a broader cultural shift towards storytelling that values complexity over certainty. By challenging traditional hero-villain dynamics, the MCU invites audiences to question not just who is right or wrong, but how pain, power, and perspective shape every character's journey.